Hey everyone, happy Sunday. So today I'll be doing some live Oracle card reading. So I'm just gonna wait a few minutes and see if anybody logs on, and we'll get this started. So thanks for joining me this Sunday afternoon of a long weekend. Okay, I see people are starting to come on, so I'm just gonna wait a few more minutes for some people to come on, and then we'll get started. Um, for those that are new to these card readings, I do card readings live, and so if you're interested in having cards pulled for you, just put a thumbs up emoji in the comment section in the Facebook Live. The first kind of 20 minutes of the live, I'm going to just pull a card for the entire group, just as kind of a way that we can use as guidance going on forward for this week. So the first card is really meant for everybody, and I'll do a little bit of chatting about it. That also is part of my podcasts. And so you'll notice that I do a little bit of a blurb about a podcast right at the beginning. And then at the end, I do a shout out for the podcast. And then I'll do the live readings after that, which are not on the podcast. So I just want everybody to know that their confidentiality is maintained there. So we're starting to get some people on. I'm just going to start. I'm really liking this new deck that I have. It's called a yogic path. I really like it. It's super practical. It's my new favorite. And I might pull some cards out of the Spirit Animal Oracle as well. This is another one of my favorites. So we'll pull from there. So I'm just going to shuffle this deck, and we'll get started, and we'll see kind of what the advice is for the week. Okay. Okay. Hey everyone, thanks for joining the Unmask and Evolve podcast. This is episode 3, and we're going to be diving into the spiritual dimension with doing some live Oracle card readings. I like to use Oracle cards as a way to really connect with self, to reassure me with and connect to my intuition. And so I find it a really great tool to kind of be able to connect with my spirituality. It's not meant for everyone, but sometimes I find it's a really nice way to kind of make sense out of any type of challenge or learning opportunity that we're going through. Yeah, I think it's fun. So thanks for joining in. The first card that I'm going to pull is really about, it's for the group. And it's funny because I pulled a card earlier for myself, and I picked the exact same card as what I picked for today. So it's kind of funny. I was hoping I was going to pick a different card for the group, but it's funny that this is the card that I'm pulling. So I'm pulling out of a deck called A Yogic Path by Sahara Rose. It's a beautiful deck of cards with really practical advice. And so I'm going to, the card that I pulled for the group today is called Ojas, and it's a beautiful card with a big tree and a full moon behind, and a woman who's kind of swimming naked in the ocean, it kind of looks like. So for those of you that are on the Facebook Live, you can see the card here. And so I'm going to read what that means. And it's quite interesting. I think it's quite timely because we're in sort of the middle of February. And so many people start the year off with a lot of intentions, goals, resolutions, whatever you want to call it, to kind of get their health and well-being in order. And so many of us, we look at kind of where, how do we want to improve our health and well-being? And some of us have lofty ideas about how we're going to get that started. And, by mid-February, lots of our intentions and our habits have gone by the wayside because we have sort of bitten off more than we could chew. We were relying on willpower versus really just trying to change our behavior by 1%. And so some of you who have listened to, oh, sorry, someone's calling me. Have listened to some of my videos before, I talk about the 1% and how important that is in habit formation that's really going to last a testament of time. And so unfortunately with making habit changes, they need to be easy enough that we do them every day. And the problem with that sometimes is that we see it as easy, and so we don't necessarily see the impact right away. But the thing is that changing our behavior by 1% makes a huge difference in 3 to 6 months, right? It doesn't make a difference day to day, and so that's where continuity and staying consistent is really important. And so if you're interested in learning about, sorry, somebody keeps calling me on Messenger. I'm not sure why. So if you're really, sorry about that, guys. If you're interested in discussing or learning more about habit formation, I would really highly suggest the book called Atomic Habits by James Cleary. Really great book at looking at any type of habit, whether you want to start to be a blogger, whether you want to start to write a book, whether you want to implement health habits like running a marathon. Doesn't matter what that is. He really has looked at all the research out there and really has gives really tangible tips on how to do that. And so the reason why I'm kind of talking about that is that OJAS, the card that I have pulled, is really about our health and well-being and being patient and peaceful. So what the OJAS card is saying is it's subtle essence of health and well-being, peaceful and patient. So when we're in OJAS, when we're in balance with that, what it means is one look is all it takes to see how much OJAS someone has. Have people been coming up to you and telling you how healthy, rested, and happy you look? This is OJAS. OJAS is a subtle essence related to health and well-being with which you are filled. You radiate good health with your glowing skin, peaceful demeanor, and patient essence. Your dietary and lifestyle choices are showing up in your appearance, and your inner state is reflecting in your outer. Continue caring for your sacred vessel and nourishing your body with foods and practices that make you thrive. So when we're not in balance, basically what it's saying is, has your personal health taken a back seat to other matters? This must change. The only way you can truly care for others is if you take care of yourself. You must put on your own air mask before you attend to the needs of others. Make time for sleeping, cooking, meditation, and yoga. Though you may feel that you don't have time for these things, the truth is you won't have much time without them. And so, when I think about my journey, the greatest lesson in improving my health and well-being has been putting myself first. And that is a really difficult thing, I think, for women because, whether we're parents, our partners, or our careers, we just naturally tend to put those things ahead of our own needs. We're not really good about, asking for what we need, prioritizing our own health and wellness needs. And so we're kind of living on empty. I kind of think of myself as like an ATM. If I'm constantly withdrawing from myself by being a caregiver to other people, when the money dries up and I don't put any deposits into that bank account, there's nothing left. And the reality is, when I talk about self-care, lots of people say, well, it's quite selfish. I don't know if I can do that. The reality is self-care is not selfish, because the reality is I have more to give my family, my daughter, my husband, my patients, if I take care of myself first. When I don't do that, when I don't sleep well, when I don't eat well, when I'm not doing regular exercise, when I'm not meditating and keeping my mindset strong, really being balanced in the 4 directions, I end up overextending myself. I end up going into that people pleaser. I end up going into the perfectionism. I end up going into the looking for external validation, to fill those voids because I am not providing it myself, right? And the reality is we're all we need, and we need to own and value ourselves. And many women, we just don't value ourselves. So we don't think that we're deserving or worthy of that self-care, regardless of what it is. It doesn't have self-care doesn't have to be laying in a bubble bath. It doesn't mean, taking a full day of work off. It might just mean that you say no, to an engagement that is just doesn't align with you. It means not overscheduling your week. It means not having realistic expectations about what you can accomplish. It means asking for help, with your to-do list, right? It doesn't have to be, I think sometimes with self-care, we're thinking it's like laying in a bubble bath with a bottle of champagne and chocolate-covered strawberries. I mean, the reality is that might not be it, right? And, you know, I think self-care really is about just really accepting where we're at, that we're not necessarily going to be as productive. Like for me, being productive is really important. And so I have a hard time when I consider myself not being productive. So I'll use labels like I was lazy today, and that's really unkind. So I think what this card is saying is that we really need to be kind of checking in and seeing where we're at. Certainly, we're in the depth of winter. Winter makes us want to hibernate. So we're eating, sometimes more comforting foods that are not necessarily as rich in vegetables and fruits. We tend to be a little bit more sluggish. We're not moving our bodies because we're kind of in a hibernative state. And I think this is just an awareness that spring is around the corner, that we need to be doing things to really focus on our health. Because I can say for myself, and I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, is that when I am not balanced, when I am eating poorly and not exercising and not keeping my mindset, I'm not as productive. My mind isn't clear. I'm sluggish. I'm much more negative. And so when I really focus on that, I find that I have infinite amount of energy. I have a great mindset where I'm positive and I'm ambitious, and I'm living my life in a position of love and not fear. And so I think that that's what the message is for the week. So I think all of us should take a kind of a reflection on, where are we at? Where are we at with our health and wellness? What things have kind of slipped? Because the reality is we're not perfect all the time. And that's the other thing, is that we need to give ourselves a bit of a break. It's just being about awareness. It's like checking in with ourselves. Okay, you know what? That habit's kind of slipped out of place. I need to reinstitute that. For me, it's my manifestation plans. I really need to be spending time doing that and doing my gratitude. I haven't been writing down my gratitude. So it's about being intentional about that kind of stuff. And so we're not. It's about saying, okay, life got in the way. I'm going to pull back a bit. I'm going to get things back on track. And it's not a reflection of failure, right? Because I think we can be very much concrete thinkers and look at our behavior in terms of good and bad, right and wrong. And the reality is, it just is. It just is. And that we just need to say, okay, I just need to pull things back a bit. And it's about riding a wave, right? So there's going to be times when, things are smooth, and then we fall off track with things. And it's just about, pulling up our socks and just getting things back with the awareness that we will fall out of place, and that's okay. And that's the journey, right? So for those of you that are listening to the podcast, that is my inspiration and my guidance for today. Thanks for joining in. The next podcast will be more of a physical dimension. And that will be this Wednesday. So thanks for tuning in. You can always follow me on Facebook at Unmask and Evolve, the private page, or Unmask and Evolve Holistic Health and Wellness. You can also find me on Instagram at Unmask and Evolve, and you can see me on my website, www.unmaskandevolve.ca. And today I've just posted a brand new blog post about, it's a reflection on Eating Disorders Week, a great piece on kind of the reflection of where we need to go. What are the barriers for people accessing care for eating disorders? What are the myths out there? And how can we have a health at every size movement where we are really embracing everybody and looking at healthy behavior and not weight shaming. So really interesting blog, check it out. And for those of you who are on the Facebook Live, I'm gonna start reading personal cards. Okay, thanks for tuning in. Okay, guys, thanks. Sorry, I have to pause there because we cut the audio, and so I know it seems a bit weird. So the first card that I'm going to read, actually, I might do some of these cards out of order because my gut is telling me that I really need to do a card for B Songer, and then Diane, I'll do you, okay? B, I'm thinking about you, and I'm thinking about Mr. Angus, and I'm sending you so much love right now. And B, I pulled a card for you the other day, actually, and I didn't send it to you, and it was the OJAS card, actually. And I pulled it, and I thought to myself, this doesn't make sense. This is not, I don't think this would be helpful for her at this time. And so it was interesting that that's the message, but I think it would have been helpful for you at that time. And so I'm sorry that I didn't send it to you and that I got in my head and overthought it. So B, you're getting the Kali card, which is a beautiful card. $99. So Kali is the goddess of destruction, disillusion, and ecstasy. So when it's upright, when we're in balance, you have drawn upon Kali when you are in a time of radical rebirth. She is fierce, erratic, untamed, the part of you that you're afraid to give full control because you don't know where it will take you. She will destroy all disillusions and bring you face to face with your darkest shadows. Not to cause anguish, but rather from a deep place of love. She demolishes the ego and creates the boundary between you and your highest self. She is the ecstasy experienced in an orgasm, meditation, bold self-expression, or pushing a child out of the womb. Kali comes to you in a time of deep liberation, stepping into the truer form of you. Trust the process and allow yourself to release all limitations so you can become one with the bliss that you are. Look in the mirror. What is it that you are afraid to see? We all have parts of us that are less than perfect, but they can only be brought into light through acknowledgement. Recognize those shadows, why they came to be, the purpose they had once had, and how they are no longer needed. Write down a limiting belief you are holding on to that are preventing you from reaching your higher truth, and burn them into the flames. Shake your body, scream, clear your house, let go of the stale relationships, practice self-pleasure, free the parts of you that have been suppressed, and step into your wild nature of experience Kali's enlightenment. And B, I think what this means is that you're in a place where you're going to redefine your life, and losing the love of your life is such a sad time, but it's an amazing time for you to renegotiate your relationships with your family and your kids, and really step in to being who you want to be versus being controlled by those relationships and the farm, and being a caregiver. And so that's what I see the meaning of this card being, is that that I know that you are at peace with Angus going to a better place because he is no longer suffering. And I tear up because, you know, he will forever be in my heart. And I think he just wants you to be happy, and he wants you to really just tell everybody to fuck off and live the life that you want instead of trying to please others. Yeah, so I think that that's what this card is saying, and so I hope that that rings true to you. Um, okay, so Diane, let's get you a card. You know, it's amazing when you as a nurse practitioner, I've met a lot of people in my life, and I've taken care of so many, and it's amazing, how many people you remember. I mean, you remember them for your whole career and that they've impacted you. And Angus was one of those people, the sweetest man. And, he taught me so many things. Um, yeah, and so it touches my heart in so many ways to have been able to meet him and be part of his journey. And yeah, and to meet you, B, because you guys are an incredible team, and I really admire the love and the strength that you guys have, and the respect that you had for each other, and to be so madly in love. It just, incredible. Anyways. Okay, so Diane, you're getting Sattva, which is a card of a woman who's kind of has a veil behind her, and then I don't know if that's like the third eye. It kind of looks like the third eye, and then it's all like crochet around it. And I feel like I read this card last week, just for somebody, anyways. So let's see. Okay, Sattva. Purity and clarity. You have to let go of things that are holding you back and are reaching deeper levels of clarity. Did you get this card last week? Yeah, anyways, I just feel like I'm having a deja vu moment. Maybe you've cleaned up your diet, home, self-care products, relationships, thought patterns, goals, or life outlook, and now experiencing the joys that come with purity, sattva. The space you have created is allowing greater gifts that are more aligned with your truth to present self. Continue on this path towards clarity by shedding all those that no longer serve you. When your body becomes pure, your thoughts and life will reflect that, bringing sattva, purity, into all that you do, and your path will come to be more clear. The reverse. Have your thoughts been cloudy recently? Have the foods you've been putting into your body been less than pure? Has your breath been swimming in shallow waters? It's time to cleanse your body, mind, and spirit. Let go of toxic foods, emotions, situations, and people. We take on the energy of all that is around us, and continuous exposure to low vibration places will bring down our energy if we don't consciously put in the work to bring it back. Try a Kitchari cleanse for several days to allow your body and mind to digest all that has been taken in. Eat only freshly cooked foods straight from the earth and avoid anything processed. Begin daily yoga and meditation on and off the mat. Sattva will return when you return to your truth. And I think this card is really just talking about what you're already doing. I mean, I know that you really have a great routine with your health and fitness, and you are kind of changing up your routine a bit. And I think this is really just saying to continue to do that, because that's what's needed at this time. I think it's just really a hats off that you're on the right track. So yeah. Okay, let's see who the next person is. If you're looking for card readings, just put your thumbs up in the thumbs up emoji in the comments below. So Ruby will do you, and Lori will get to you, and Nicole will do you as well. So if anyone else is looking for card readings, just put your thumbs up. Ruby, you're getting the same card. So Sattva. So really kind of looking at your health and your well-being and your relationships and just kind of cleaning things up. And I think it's also a hats off to the path that you're on as well, is that you've done a lot of work over the last 6 months to a year. And so I think that that's really what that's about. And Diane's saying change is good. Yeah, change is good. I think sometimes we get stuck in the rut because it's our comfort zone, right? That's where we feel comfortable, and when we're in control, right? And I think it's important that we step outside of that sometimes and explore new things, because there can be a better way, right? There can be a different way. There can be a way that kind of re-inspires us, or gives us new opportunities for learning and growth. So Lori, I'm getting Tantra for you. Okay, I love this. Yeah, Tantra, balance of masculine and feminine. So upright. So you are expanding into liberation, Tantra, moving past the dualistic mind that judges everything as right and wrong. You are headed to the greater truth that comes from integration. The structured masculine and flowing feminine within you are merging, allowing you to move towards infinite consciousness. The mature masculine within you creates presence, focus, stillness, and determination. The mature feminine within you results in creativity, flow, movement, sensuality, and nurturing. Both genders require a balance of these two energies. Continue to invite it in all aspects of yourself: your light, your shadow, your Shakti, your Shiva, your cognition, your intuition. Is there an aspect of yourself that you are denying, shaming, or judging? Are you suppressing any shadow emotions such as anger, sadness, or loneliness? The wounded masculine creates feelings of separation, increased ego, competitiveness, and emotional detachment. The wounded feminine causes jealousy, gossip, low worth, need for external validation, and manipulation. Take a moment to reflect what you are observing within and around yourself. Our external world is a reflection of our internal world, steering us in the direction we must examine and heal. I think this is a really good card, because I think that you're very similar to me in that you struggle with your own self-worth, and you struggle with trying to be a people pleaser and a perfectionist, and being in control to manage your anxiety. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting. And you are also an incredible at your work. And so you are very reliable and dependable, and you give so much, right? You give 200% at your work. You're you don't want to let anybody down. And these are amazing qualities, but when we take them too far, as I found, you burn out, right? You burn out because it's hard to manage. It's like you're running a marathon all the time. And the problem is we're running this marathon, and we're so exhausted that we end up losing ourselves and not being able to identify who we are. And so it appears like we have it all, right? But inside we feel incredibly unfulfilled. And let me know if that rings true for you, because that's what my sense is. And so it's interesting. In my coaching program, I talk about balancing our divine feminine. Generally, as women, we don't honor our feminine nature. We carry a lot of masculinity in our relationships. And so we are very much about control and perfection, and being on time, and being organized, and being, being structured and planning, and those are all very masculine like traits. Whereas femininity very much is flowy and flirty and has spontaneity. It's about intuition. It's about showing emotion. It's about feeling emotion. It's about doing that. And in order to balance our divine feminine and our divine masculine, we have to give up. We have to let go. We have to shake it out a bit and be more playful and fun. And so, this is what I'm working on right now. I'm working on letting go of perfectionism. And balancing that masculinity in me, which really is the next module that I'm going to write, which is taking me a long time to write because it's taking me a long time to be able to kind of figure it out, right? So it's really, I think it's really interesting that you got that card. I think that this kind of speaks a lot to that internal struggle that so many women are going through. And reach out to me and we can chat. But it's an amazing card. And the thing is it's not having balance within our divine feminine and masculine self is not uncommon. Most of us do, right? And in our relationships, especially with our partners, we need to carry more feminine energy, right? And most of us carry much more masculine, right? We tend to be, the bosses in our relationships. And the problem is that demasculinizes our, if that's even a word, our partners, right? Because then they take more of a passive role. And then we end up getting frustrated because they're not taking care of us, but we don't actually give them space to do that because we're so, focused on getting things done, being efficient, having control, that we forget that, at the end of the day, when we, ask our husbands or partners to do something, it's not really about doing it. It's about giving them an opportunity to take care of us. So I always say like, I didn't ask my husband to change the light bulb in my office because I couldn't do it, right? I can do it. I did it because it was an opportunity for him to take care of me and I know that sounds silly, but I don't allow him to do that, even though I can get really upset that he isn't. But the problem is that the reality in our relationships is the only thing we have control over is our response and how we show up. And so for me, it's been huge in my relationship to realize how much masculinity I carry, which is the majority of it, right? I carry very little femininity. I'm not flowy and flirty, and I don't like going with the flow. And so learning ways to be able to do that is really important. So Lori's saying this is a great card. Daily struggles in learning to love and accept myself is hard. Yeah. Sometimes I get so exhausted. It's hard to let go, and I'm trying to. Yeah. Self-compassion has been the biggest lesson that I've learned, is that it's a hard lesson. Learning self-compassion and self-love is very much about just accepting that we're exactly where we need to go be. And it's super hard. And I agree with you because it is a daily struggle for me as well. And I think I'm sure that there's a lot of women that are watching this and that will be watching this that can really relate to that, because our society sets us up for failure. Our society, right from very little, tells us that our femininity is wrong, right? If we show emotion, we are dramatic, we are hysterical, we are, we need to get thicker skins. If we're fun and flowy, then it's considered ditzy and airheaded and blonde, and like there's all this negative connotation to that. And when we think about the essence of femininity, of being a parent, even being a stay-at-home mom is seen as, well, that's all you do? Being a stay-at-home mom is hard. It's super hard. And I chose not to do it because it's harder than what I do for my actual career, and so women have to feel like they have to do it all. I think and if we're standing up for femininity, and if we're standing up for talking about like women's health, then we're feminists. And that bothers me. For me to talk about sexuality, for me to talk about women's health is not being a feminist. I'm talking about my body. I'm honoring my body. I'm honoring the bodies of the other women around us. And I think the feminine movement was amazing. We are able to do so much, but we've pigeonholed ourselves as well, is that we're expected to do everything perfectly. It's like, yes, you can have a career, but you have to have a career and be a mom and take care of your entire household and do everything amazing. And so we're trying to be these perfect images, and it's we can't, and we're driving ourselves crazy. For me, it was this week, my daughter had a Valentine's Day party, and in my mind it was like, I really should be making intricate cookies, and that's what I should be doing, but I didn't have time, nor do I get joy out of that. And so I went and bought something, and like the amount of, well, first of all, I signed up to bring strawberries, and of course I forgot. So on Friday morning, because I was busy, Friday morning I went to the grocery store to pick up strawberries. The grocery store is completely sold out. So now I feel like a jerk because I've signed up to give strawberries. I've forgotten. I'm at the grocery store at 8 o'clock on Friday morning. So like epic fail. So mom guilt starts to come in. So I ended up buying cupcakes, which is not as the healthy of a choice. Like, it's amazing the amount of terror, but I was just like, you know what? I'm doing the best that I can here. You know what? Like, and it's important to give ourselves slack, because that could have gone in a really bad spiral. So anyways, I'm babbling here, but I think a lot of you guys can understand that. Nicole, let's pull some cards for you, my love. So Nicole, you're getting this card called Lalita Tripura Sundari. Okay. So this is the goddess of erotic spirituality. Move towards that which makes you feel sensual, awake, and alive. In our society, we've been taught to repress our divine feminine nature. Oh my goodness. This is a great card, right? Because I was just graveling about this. In order to be taken seriously. However, by doing so, we are only operating as half of a whole. Lolita has come to remind you of your inner tantric energy, that which oozes with erotic Shakti life force. It's time to merge your spiritual self and your sexual self, as these two are intrinsically related. Enjoying all things with sensuality, food, conversation, self-care, movement. Follow what feels good, not what makes sense, to a patriarchal system. Bring in all aspects of yourself to the table and watch your life blossom. The reverse. It's time to go after your desires. The desires are not your goals of achievement, but rather what the inner you desires. Love, lust, passion. Lolita, the tantric goddess, awakens within to remind you of your divine feminine nature. She is fully alive, untamed, and mystical, joining the erotic with the spiritual. Lolita represents the part of you that is both the queen and the nymph, ruling with her elegance without forging her pleasure. Meditate on embodying Lolita's sensual power in all aspects of your life. And I think, I love this, because I think what this is really about connecting to self, right? Because when we are a mother and we are, for you, Nicole, an entrepreneur and a partner, we have all of these roles, and we forget about ourselves, right? So we forget to kind of get dressed up. And I know a couple weeks ago you went to a social and you got dressed up, you did your hair, you put some lipstick on, like amazing. And we need to be doing that more. I think there's a lot of shame in our society about sex, right? About being sexual, and how that is perceived, maybe as undermining your intelligence, or your being assumed that you're easy or slutty or what. But what ends up happening is that our sexuality is a really important part of who we are. We are mammals, we are animals, and being in connection with that is super important, especially when we're trying to balance our chakras, right? So our root chakra and our sacral chakra is very much about our sexuality and feeling comfortable in our bodies, and feeling excitement, and how we interact with our partners, and how we can have conversations around sex and pleasure and about our bodies. And I think many of us struggle with that. There's so much shame around that. I think many of us, because we probably didn't have, I mean, I think about the sex ed, and a lot of you have been following me, and this week was Sexual Health and Reproduction Week. And so I was talking a lot about some of the myths around sex, and sex ed, and depending on how it is, can cause a lot of shame and embarrassment. And right, so, and I was thinking about, when did I experience sex ed? It was like, I was in grade 5. It was super awkward. It was a lot of whispering and feeling super uncomfortable without any acknowledgement about that being normal, right? Of feeling uncomfortable having these discussions. Did my mom and dad talk to me about sex? Absolutely not. Are you kidding me? And so, you end up, going through life and then being bombarded by social media, that is very much about shaming women's bodies that aren't perfect, and making judgments about women and their intelligence based on what they look like, and making judgments about people if they are super in tuned and open with their sexuality, right? And so we're constantly oppressed in that way. And so most of us really need to learn how to balance the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So yeah, I think that's an incredible card. I think it's, really, going to tell you to be a little bit more fun and flirty, take mom hat off for a bit, take entrepreneur hat off for a bit, and go out and dance and do whatever it is that makes you feel good and feel feminine and feel confident in your skin. I think that's what it means. Because I really, I think sometimes when we talk about sexuality, we think it's intercourse, right? We focus on that, and it's so much more than that. I think that's one of the biggest myths, is that, sex ed is about sex, and sensuality and is all about sex, and it's not. It's about so much more than that. And I think that is a timely card, considering Valentine's Day, and that, February is really the month of love. And I think a lot of you have looked at, been watching me and seeing how I really feel like this is a month of self-love, right? It's really connecting with who we are, and being nicer to ourselves, right? I mean, we do not treat ourselves very well. And really creating a relationship, and getting to know ourselves. What are our likes and our dislikes? What are the things we're passionate about? What are our values and beliefs? Because many of us, we reach a point where we're like, yes, I'm a mom. Yes, I'm a partner. Yes, I'm a nurse practitioner, but what else, right? Because those are the defining moments. And so now I know a lot more about myself, and I have a ton more to learn. And it's amazing how, how that evolution occurs. So anybody else wanting a card before I sign off? Put thumbs up emoji in between. I hope that this guidance today was helpful. I hope you learned something. thanks for joining in. Thanks for showing up every week to listen to these. I'm always shocked by the number of people that watch the replays. And it's a really fun time for me to connect with you guys. So it doesn't look like anybody else wants a reading, so I'm going to sign off. I will see you Wednesday night for Ask a Nurse Practitioner Live. I will be posting a reminder tomorrow, so send me your health questions and let me know what you want to hear about. I think I'm not really sure. I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about, but I will let you know. So send me your questions, and that definitely will guide where we're going to go with that conversation. So have a great day and enjoy Family Day tomorrow. I hope everyone has the day off and is spending some time with their family and their loved ones. Take care. Bye, guys.